Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We interrupt your regularly scheduled scrolling to bring you news on Superman Legacy. Obviously, James Gunn has finally announced who he wants his Superman and his Lois to be, but we got a little bit of a surprise, too. We found out that there's going to be more characters than we thought starting off the Superman movie. Mantis, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, my thoughts are one, I don't know most of these people are. I know at least two of them from previous shows and movies. But yeah, not too familiar with Superman, Lois, Hot Girl, or Mr. Terrific. But like you mentioned, it's interesting that there have this many superheroes in a Superman movie.
I'm really curious about where this is going now. I'm in the same boat. This David Corin suite. I do not
Mhm.
know what he's ever been in. I know the Rachel that I know she's been in that Marvelous Mrs. Maisel or whatever, and it's done really, really well. And I think she's won some awards for it, but I've not seen it, and I've not seen her in anything that I can recall. Realistically, the only two on here is Nathan Fillion and the other little guy here that
Anthony
plays.
Kerrigan.
Yeah, that plays.
Oh, you mean
No,
Edie Gavick? Yeah, the
yeah.
Mr. Terrific. Um,
So I
yeah, I
scrolled that
mean,
down for you guys. Sorry.
no, yeah. So let me start with the Corin suite. Sorry for the pronunciation. I'm illiterate and public school. So yeah, the official synopsis that it reads in this article we're kind of looking at here. Superman Legacy tells the story of Superman's journey to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as Clark Kent of Smallville, Kansas. He is an embodiment of truth, justice, American way, guided by human kindness in a world that sees kindness as old-fashioned, which is kind of interesting. I didn't see that the first time we talked about this. Kindness is old-fashioned is kind of an interesting thing today because I kind of think that probably fits with how most people are very cynical in the world today. So, yeah,
Well,
pretty
we had
interesting.
talked before about obviously older Superman with Christopher Reeves. He could play that nerdy role, like oh gosh thing, kind of like
Mm.
that old style character that worked back then, but it's not going to work nowadays. Like I said, kindness and being nice is old fashioned. It's not. So you got to kind of update Superman for the world that we're in now. Otherwise, he just
Sure.
seems out of place.
Well, and it looks like from the start as well, both Lois and Clark probably are going to be starting out their careers. So they're going to be young reporters in the bullpen at the Daily Planet, I'm assuming, and both actors are young, so that kind of fits there. The hot girl is interesting. Not familiar with her. I know she's listed as 5'1", which is funny for a superhero. But again, we talked about this before. Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Tom Cruise, huge stars, all very short. So,
Just through editing these videos, you kind of see the process of what you can do to make things look different. So I have no doubts on Dora the Explorer there being Hot Girl as long as the character's written well. So
for
be
sure.
interesting. Now, Mr. Terrific, for those who don't know that actor, was played similar to Metamorpho, kind of. That's going to be down here. We'll get to in a second. In the Marvel movie, in the X-Men, where he ended up blowing up. So I'm familiar with him there. As Mr. Terrific, however, my only exposure is the Arrow show where he worked with Felicity and he had his little T-spheres, like the article mentions here. That was like his primary weapon, and he's really, really smart, like genius level. So
So the
but
character
that's
wasn't very. They didn't explore it very much in the show. I would assume they're going to do a little bit more here in this movie.
I would think so, but I also think for people who have seen that show, it at least gives you a little idea, and then for the other people, yeah, you have kind of a blank slate to bring this new character in. Now,
Yeah.
for anybody
Yeah.
who has watched Firefly or played Destiny 2 knows who this guy. Well, actually, Destiny 1 too knows who this guy is. Actually, let me correct that. I think he might have stopped during Destiny 2. But we know who this guy is. Good old Cade 6, Nathan Fillion here. Very
Yeah,
interesting choice to bring a Green Lantern into the rebirth of your universe and starting with a Superman movie. I don't know what that story is going to be.
yeah, I love Nathan Fillion, great actor. Enjoy him in all the voice acting he's done, as well as the roles he's played in TV shows and films and stuff. So I was happy to see that. The pick, though, instead of Jon Stewart or uh, Hal Jordan, they went with Guy Gardner, who most people may not know because he's not a very prominent Lantern. And then the which maybe again we talk about this too. Maybe it has just to do with the fact with they do have a Lantern Corps movie or TV show in the works with HBO, and maybe they kind of wanted to separate those characters, and that's completely fine. I do like to pick there for Guy Gardner. His Nathan Fillion's comedic quips and stuff should be great. Hopefully they let him do that.
And I think James Gunn will. He's really good with allowing uh, the actors that he knows are good with like kind of that impromptu humor, just kind of letting them run with some things, and then basically taking the pick of what's the best, what's the funniest. And as Jon Stewart is definitely a more well known Green Lantern, but he is a more serious
Yeah,
Green Lantern. So going with
yeah.
Guy, I feel is going to help with the comic relief. You're going to bring
Yeah,
that in.
you're exactly right. That's a good point. I would expect him to be the major comic relief. I'd expect Clark to throw little, innocent, funny things that he doesn't think is funny, but everyone else does because it's so corny. Those type of things. But I would expect, like you said, the Guy Gardner character to be the actual comic relief in the film.
Now, Metamorpho, I'm not familiar with really at all. I mean, I've heard of them, but I've not gone and read comic books with Metamorpho. I've heard him mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, I'm not either. From the actor that they got cast, played in Gotham. He was Zaz in Gotham. Need to watch that series. It's a very good show. More of a true crime thing than superhero movie or
it's
show,
on the
but still
list.
pretty good.
It's on the list. I'll
It's
get
pretty
to it
good.
eventually.
Yeah, and he looks pretty good. He's a good actor. I like him as far as the TV show stuff goes. But it does say here in this article as well, because I like you, I wasn't familiar. I'm not familiar with Metamorpho at all. An Avenger exposed to radioactive meteorite from a mythical Egyptian artifact, as a result, becomes Metamorpho with the ability to shapeshift and changes elemental makeup. So I'm assuming he's like a whole like the Fantastic Four all in one type of thing. Which is kind of interesting. So they've got some leeway to do some crazy stuff there in the film. Be interesting there.
That's what I think I'm most interested on. I'm going to give the actors with the gentleman playing Clark and who's playing Lois. I'm going to give them a break, right? I'm always so judgmental on who they pick for these characters, like Batman and Superman, and I'm
Yeah.
usually wrong. They actually end up doing a great job. So I'm going to hold out that James Gunn knows what he's doing. I'm really really curious about where you're going to take it, bring in a Green Lantern. Well, actually, bring all of these heroes, but bring in a Green Lantern in at the very beginning. That's a bold move, man. Like,
Yeah.
especially if any of you, not to cut you off quick, but if any of you
No.
remember the disastrous 2011 Green Lantern movie, that's a bold choice.
Yeah, in a Superman movie specifically, there was another article I remember reading that I think it was GQ did, and they interviewed James Gunn, and he stated that they're cherry picking actors from previous DCEU properties to come over to the DCU with an eye toward the accessibility and relatability to those actors and characters. So, and his words is, if you've not seen anything that they've done, you can watch Superman Legacy, you can watch the Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, all of these things, and they're trying to minimize the confusion that audiences have kind of had in previous superhero shows and movies when they introduce characters that they're not too familiar with.
and that's kind of the problem. And I think it's what's good that the DCEU is dead, the Arrowverse is ending. So now you'll just and I know they're going to do the Lanterns, and James Gunn's a part of that project, but I think it's going to run kind of concurrent, kind of like Agents of Shield did with Marvel. So kind of wipe the slate clean. You don't have two completely separate universes running at the same time, because you were having Superman movie come out, but you've got a Superman TV show Superman and Lois just started when the DCU kind of finally went off the rails. But it was a little confusing, I think, for a lot of people. You were going to be having two Flashes, which you technically still do right now. So I think it's good that get a complete wipe, bring in some new younger talent that's obviously going to be able to put out 3 or 4 of these movies. And I really hope that it's not too overwhelming having this many heroes
at the beginning.
In the beginning, it's dangerous. And I think James Gunn can do it. If there's a person out here right now that I think he's going to be it, but it is still very risky.
Sure. And another thing that they've not really kind of talked about is who's going to be the villain in this film.
That's the other thing is, all of these are actually, was Metamorpho, is he the villain? Or is he part of? I didn't think so either. I could be wrong now. He does look.
I think he's part of the Justice League. Or he was the least featured in it, I think.
So. The photo of him there with the gun, even though I think that's from Gotham, it gives maybe a bad example, because he looks like he's going to be the villain. Hopefully, thank God that it's not Lex Luthor.
Yeah,
but
there's a couple of, I think I've read a couple things on who they think could be the villain. Some list Apex. So who knows? And maybe they'll have multiple villains. I really hope they don't do that. They could. The biggest waste of the past DC movies, and I have a big gripe with it, is wasting villains in movies, because I know you kind of agree with this as well as I do. The DC universe has the best characters, including the best villains.
Sorry for all you Marvel fans, but it's true.
It's undeniable. So they've got a bunch to pick for. Pick from, and this is the first chance that they get, that James Gunn gets to throw in his DCU for a main villain, and it'll be, wonder who's going to choose.
And you said it during the Marvel versus DC, the James Gunn saga video we did, that Superman, this movie's going to make or break his universe, right? If it does well, then he's got to continue on the trend, and it's because it all revolves around Superman. If Superman doesn't do well, there's no Justice League, there's no bigger universe. So you're 100% right on that. That's where I saw 3 or 4 other superheroes, and then I'm like, oh, that's bold. That's bold. So But as we get more information on it, we will be bringing that to you as well. I know there's going to be some interviews coming up here in the near future. They're supposed to start shooting this in January, and it's sadly going to release in about almost 2 years to the day, or a couple of days ahead from being 2 years until this movie comes out. So a long time. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of content coming out, and we will be reacting to it and giving our thoughts and opinions, and just like this, kind of as fast as we can, because, obviously as soon as the news breaks, we want to share it with you guys and share our opinions on, and thoughts, feelings, and possibly fears. So I'd say stay tuned for that. We also have coming up Reacher Season 1 Episode 2 will be dropping here in the next couple of days, only because Mantis is so excited to get onto the 3rd episode. We're speeding that process up a little bit because he is tired of taking this long to watch a series. So be looking for that. Superman and Lois will also be coming your guys' way. So if you've made it this far with us, as what we say, please consider liking, subscribing. That way you can check out that other content as well that we've got coming in the future.
Yeah, click the little thumbs up button. Like, it literally takes 1 second to do it before you click the X, because you're like, screw these guys. Just click I don't even care if you hate the video. Just click it. It's fine. Especially if you hate us, you need to subscribe. because
Right.
you're going to get more stuff to hate on. It's the best.
Exactly. So, and then you can leave your comments down below about that you hate us too. We accept all forms. We accept hate, love, whatever.
Yep.
So, all right,
Yep.
guys, that'll wrap it up because I want to try to keep this video short for you guys. So until next time, we will see you then.
Bye.